Welcome to the second part of how to make a successful fashion brand. In the part 1, we investigated the evolution of brands from last 100 years till now. Modern marketers like Simon Sinek and Seth Godin illustrated the intellectual mainstays of modern successful brands. In part 2, we are going to investigate the process of creating a powerful brand identity that will further help you in creating an iconic brand for yourself. Once you know it, you can do it. Let's define brand identity. Now, brand identity is the visible element of a brand, such as color, design, logo, anything that identifies and distinguishes the brand in consumer's mind. Now, all these things you can see they are visible, so they will come under tangible elements. Now, brand identity also means an organization mission, personality, the promise that they do to the customer, and the competitive advantages that they offer. So all these things are intangible and you cannot see them. So when you mix both of them, then it becomes a brand identity. Now let's say the brand identity of this famous Bollywood star Hrithik Roshan. So first of all, let's see the tangible parts, the physical features. He is muscular but very lean body, symmetrical face, extra thumb, fair complexion, hazel green eyes, long soft curly hair. So all these are things that are visible. So they will come into the physical features. Now the intangible characters and how he conducts himself, how he meets people, what kind of job he does, that leaves the impression on people about him. So he's a good dancer, he's handsome, people call him Greek god, he's a good actor, he has metrosexual personality, well educated, sophisticated, he has very high professional commitment and takes lot of professional challenges. So if you look at both the tangible character and the intangible character put together, he has built an identity for himself. Similarly, both tangible features and intangible qualities of a brand makes its brand identity. Tangible features. So this infographic speaks about tangible features plus intangible features becomes your brand identity. Now the tangible features of brand identity are also called the visual elements, things that we can see. That would be main logo, logo lockups, main color palette, secondary color palette, typefaces, typographic standards, images, graphic elements, symbol, icon, textures, tagline. So basically the whole plethora of things that creates a visual aesthetic of a brand. Now, if we look at the intangible features of a brand identity, which are also called characters, you have the mission, reputation, quality, relationship with the consumer, the culture that brand follows, the belief that they have, the purpose on which the whole brand is established, communication, endorsement. So all these things are intangible features of a brand identity, and when both intangible and tangible meet together, then it's called the brand identity of a brand. In this part, we are going to understand the visual elements of a brand identity. So the first thing is logos. Now logos is a symbol made up of text or image that identifies a business. A good logo shows what a company does and what the brand values. A logo usually consists of a symbol or brand mark or a logotype along with a tagline. Now there are 7 types of logo designs. Let's have a look at them. First of all is the emblem logo. An emblem logo includes a text inside a symbol. It has a classic look that gives your logo a traditional quality. Why you should use it? So if you want to convey a sense of tradition and longevity, you can use an emblem logo. It also gives an impression that your brand was there for a very long time. Second is the logotype or the word mark logo. This is designed with the full name of the company or the brand. For example, Google, Emporio Armani, Valentino. Now, style of font and colors are very important when you're making a logotype or the word mark logo. Now, logotype strongly ties a brand visual identity to the name of the company. So it's one of the most used word mark is one of the most used ways to create brand identity. Why you should use it? If you want your company name out there, or if your own name is your brand. Many fashion designers, their companies based on their own brand, so they can pretty much use a logotype or word mark logo. Second is lettermarks or monogram. Now these are designed with initials or the acronym of the brand name. For example, you have VW for Vivienne Westwood, you have Chanel, you have Alexander McQueen where you are putting a Q and MC in between, then you have Louis Vuitton, you have Armani Exchange. So here when you have a longer name but you want to use like a shorter brand identity, then you use a monogram or a lettermark. Many fashion brands use the monogram logo because it really helps in branding the products. Why you should use it? If you want the tie between your name and the visual identity, but you really have a long name. Imagine you have name like Yves Saint Laurent. Now every time you will not be able to put it. Now comes brand marks or the pictorial mark logo. Now an image, so these logos are basically an image that directly represent your brand, like Apple or Twitter. So even their pictorial mark is as same as their brand. Now pictorial marks are very popular because they communicate directly compared to the abstract mark. Now abstract mark is the next one that we are going to speak. Now why you should use it? Because you want to create a sense of brand personality within an image. Now comes abstract logo mark. Now here we still use an image or symbol, but it does not literally represent that company. For example, swoosh or Pepsi or Mercedes logo, these are all abstract logo. It does not conveys a direct visual confirmation. So abstract logo can actually evoke a feeling more than a thought. It is maybe difficult for people to understand. That is also a problem with that abstract logo mark. So why you should use it? You want a pictorial element but want to create a more serious tone than most literal pictorial logos. That is when you go inside a abstract logo mark, and maybe your brand really cannot be showcased by a direct pictorial logo mark. Then comes the mascot logo mark. Now mascot logos are logos that involves a illustrated character like KFC. Now these are often colorful, sometimes cartoonish, but always fun. It is a great way to create brand spokesperson or spokes character. Remember the McDonald's one. Why you should use it? Now if your brand thrives on being fun, friendly and upbeat, you can always go to create a mascot logo mark. Now combination logo mark or logo lockups, these are the logo where you combine your word mark with your letter mark or your pictorial mark with your word mark. For example, you have your word mark with your pictorial mark, word mark with your pictorial mark. So why you should use it? because this is a great option for new brands as they embark on their logo design process. Now, meaning of logo lockups would be, so there is a logo, then there is a brand mark, there is a word mark, they all are together. So this is called a logo lockup. Now comes the main color palette. Every brand should consistently use the same primary color palette that they use. Under no circumstances they should be changing it. Then comes the secondary color palette, where they need to know if they want to do some sort of branding, what are the colors that they are going to use then. Now, color changes really affects a brand identity. For example, this is the signature collection of McDonald's, and because this is gray and beige, somebody would look twice to even identify this with McDonald's. So changing color might add or affect the already existing brand identity. Now comes typefaces. A typeface refers to an image made by the type or font style. Let's say you want to write Coca-Cola, but there is a certain font style that you want to use. Now, these are very important to create your own typefaces, like Cadbury, Instagram, Cadillac. They all have running script kind of typography. Different brands use different kind of typefaces to write their own name. Now comes the typographic standard. This means how you are going to use all the typographic material in a given space. For example, so inside a circle, how you are using converse, you are putting an arc to converse and to all star. Then there is your brand logo. Then you have your designer name inside it. So what are the style? How are you going to put all the material together? Or designing the time placement is called typographic standard. So if you really look at Apple's style, they use a lot of white space and minimalistic typography style for main branding. So this is their billboard. So this is called typography standard. Then come images. How are you using images? What is the mood? What is the color? Really defines your brand identity. Because if you look at these three posters, the kind of model they have used, the color combinations, the expression of the models really gives us an identity of a youthful, upbeat, young brand. Then comes the tagline. Now, also called a slogan or motto, it is a phrase that accompanies your brand name. It's very interesting because it translates your positioning and brand statement into a few memorable words that provide an indication of your brand offering, promise, and market position. Now, Diesel says successful living, Van Heusen says power dressing, Levi said quality never goes out of style, Apple says think different. Now, brands are constantly evolving with time, and it has become very important for them to communicate it through their visible branding element. So most of the brands, after some point of time, they update their visible branding element. For example, Burberry, old logo compared to the new logo, which is clear, there is no cursive writing happening. Zumova, earlier it was placed inside a cylinder, now that cylinder is off. Yves Saint Laurent has been changed to Saint Laurent Paris. Similarly, now importance of brand identity. The brand identity adds an attitude in the product, because the customer is not only buying the product or service, but also the image which is associated with that product or service. Companies should invest in all measures to first create, then communicate their brand identity to consumer. For example, fashion designer invest a lot of money in fashion shows to communicate their brand identity. Now, summary. Today we have covered the visible part of brand identity in detail, and it will definitely help you in creating an iconic brand identity, where we covered main logo lockups, main color palette, secondary color palette, typefaces, typography, standards, images, graphic elements, symbols, icon, texture, and taglines. Now, in the next part, we are going to learn about the intangible features of a brand identity. Now, it is impossible to think of creating the visible brand identity without understanding the purpose of the brand. And we are going to learn that in the next part of this series, so do not miss it. And please subscribe to the channel and